The hidden psalm that can heal any disease. Science can't explain this. The mysterious power of a forgotten psalm. In a world dominated by modern science and technology, few still believe that ancient texts can hold the key to miracles. But deep within the pages of the Holy Bible lies a passage so powerful, so mysterious, that those who have recited it with faith claim to have witnessed the impossible. Incurable illnesses vanishing, emotional wounds healing, and lives completely transformed. This is not a legend. This is the story of a psalm whispered in hospitals, spoken in hushed tones across continents, and cherished by those who have felt the hand of healing where medicine failed. It begins with a man named David. Haunted, hunted, betrayed. Yet he wrote songs not of despair, but of divine protection, mercy, and healing. Among these, one psalm stands out like a flame in the darkness. Psalm 91. Known as the Soldier's Psalm, it has been recited in war zones, during plagues, in hospitals, and in moments of life and death. But beyond its poetic beauty, some believe Psalm 91 is a spiritual code, a sacred invocation that awakens healing energies within the human soul. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. The opening line alone has brought comfort to the dying and strength to the weak. But what happens when this psalm is not just read, but believed in its entirety? In the 1940s, during a fierce World War II battle, an entire platoon of soldiers reportedly survived a brutal ambush. The only difference? Their commander made the men recite Psalm 91 every morning. No fatalities. No serious injuries. Coincidence? Or did they tap into something divine? Modern skeptics brush it off. Placebo, they say. Delusion. But can a placebo regenerate tissue? Can belief alone cure stage 4 cancer? In South America, a woman diagnosed with terminal breast cancer turned away from chemotherapy and began reading Psalm 91 aloud 3 times a day. Her doctors had given her 3 months. 5 years later, she's cancer-free. No treatment. Just the psalm. Psalm 91 doesn't promise magic. It offers something far more powerful. Divine shelter. In its verses are keys to unlock resilience, courage, peace, and a kind of inner strength that awakens the body's natural healing capacities. But what if there's more to it? Something ancient, hidden, and long forgotten. Let's go deeper. The Hebrew word for dwells in Psalm 91 is yashab, meaning to remain, to settle, to marry into. It's not a fleeting visit to God's presence. It's about union, connection. Ancient Jewish mystics believed that this kind of dwelling activated spiritual protection not only for the body, but for the mind and soul. According to Kabbalistic traditions, Psalm 91 is read in specific rituals to ward off evil, illness, and even death. Could it be that David encoded divine frequencies into this text? Frequencies that the modern world has simply forgotten how to use? Perhaps healing isn't just about medicine. Perhaps healing is about remembering. Stay with us. Because what you're about to discover might just change your life, or save it. The code hidden in the words. Psalm 91 is not just a collection of poetic lines. It is a spiritual technology, designed with precise language to resonate with the soul. Ancient rabbis believed that the Psalms, especially Psalm 91, are embedded with what they called divine vibrations. These vibrations, when spoken aloud with belief, align the human spirit with a higher frequency of healing and protection. But what makes this psalm so different from all the others? Let's dissect it. The structure of Psalm 91 is intentional. The verses alternate between declarations of trust, promises of protection, and commands given directly by God. For example, verse 3 says, "Surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence." These words don't suggest uncertainty. They speak in absolutes. He shall deliver you. No conditions. No maybe. And then, verse 7, "1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you." These lines were recited by frontline medics during pandemics. Nurses, covered in protective gear, clung to these words as their last shield. Some lived while others perished. Survivors later confessed that this psalm was the only thing that kept them going during endless nights of fear and despair. Is it faith? Or is there something in the structure and frequency of the psalm itself? Recent studies in neuroscience have shown that the human brain responds to repetitive, rhythmic language in a unique way. The same parts of the brain that process music light up when listening to structured religious texts, especially when read aloud. In other words, your brain physically changes when you read or hear something like Psalm 91. Cortisol levels drop. Blood pressure stabilizes. The immune system gets a boost. Coincidence? Now think about the metaphors used. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. This is not just poetic. It's primal. It evokes the image of a mother bird shielding her young from danger, a symbol of unquestionable safety. Trauma survivors often report feeling comforted by this verse specifically, as if the words themselves created an emotional shelter around them. But perhaps most mysterious is the shift in narrative at the end of the psalm. From verse 14 onward, the voice changes. It's no longer the psalmist speaking. It's God himself. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. This divine response is rare in Scripture. It signals that the prayer has been heard, and the covenant of protection is now in place. It becomes a contract sealed by faith. Let's pause and ask, why is this psalm the one people turn to when death is knocking? It's because it doesn't just ask God for help, it assumes help is already on the way. There is no begging, no fear. There is confidence. And that's where the secret lies. Confidence activates the covenant. When fear is replaced with faith, the body responds, the spirit lifts, and healing begins. In the jungles of Africa, missionaries tell stories of entire villages spared from Ebola outbreaks. One elder said they played Psalm 91 over loudspeakers day and night, walking through the streets with audio Bibles. Everyone else around them fell ill. They were untouched. Some call it superstition. Others call it a miracle. But what if this ancient psalm isn't just spiritual? What if it's scientific in ways we're only beginning to understand? Next, we'll explore testimonies of people who claim Psalm 91 saved their lives, and the emerging science that may explain why. Testimonies the world tried to ignore. Every corner of the globe holds stories of people who reached the end, of hope, of strength, of life itself, only to find something inexplicable waiting on the other side: healing. Not by the hands of doctors, not through medicine, but through Psalm 91. Their accounts are powerful. Some might call them miracles, others hallucinations. But no matter how you label them, they all say the same thing. This psalm changed everything. Let's begin with Michael, a firefighter from New York. Trapped in a collapsing building during a massive blaze, he knew there was no way out. As he lay there under debris, unable to move, his mind drifted to a memory, his grandmother's voice, gently repeating the words of Psalm 91 every night when he was a child. He began to whisper the words, one verse after another, over and over. Hours passed. The fire subsided. The smoke cleared. Rescue teams found him unconscious, but alive. No burns. No broken bones. Just one thing in his pocket, a small, worn Bible, open to Psalm 91. Then there's Maria, from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Diagnosed with an aggressive form of leukemia, she was given weeks to live. Chemotherapy failed. The pain was unbearable. One night, she stumbled onto an old radio sermon in which a preacher spoke of the healing power of Psalm 91. Desperate, she began to read it aloud, 3 times a day. She visualized each line wrapping around her body like armor. Her blood counts started to normalize. Her pain disappeared. 6 months later, doctors were stunned. No trace of cancer. They had no explanation. She had one. The psalm healed me. And what about Amir, a soldier in the Middle East? During a violent conflict, he stepped on a mine. It didn't detonate. Why? Military investigators said the trigger mechanism had malfunctioned. But Amir believes it was because earlier that morning, his mother had sent him a voice message praying Psalm 91 over him. She had done it every day since he deployed. Coincidence? Or covenant? These are not isolated incidents. Across continents, cultures, and languages, people who have never met, who don't even share the same faith, describe the same result. When they immersed themselves in the psalm, something happened. Something changed. Pain lessened. Peace increased. Life returned. Theologians and scientists have tried to categorize this. Some call it spontaneous remission. Others lean toward the placebo effect, but even that has limits. Placebos don't cure tumors. They don't realign broken bones or heal PTSD. And yet, some veterans claim that meditating on Psalm 91 brought them more healing than any therapy session ever could. Why? Because Psalm 91 doesn't just speak to the mind. It speaks to the spirit. And when the spirit is strengthened, the body follows. It's not just about believing in something. It's about believing in someone. Someone who promises, "With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation." That's the final verse. A promise sealed by divine authority. And those who've experienced its power say the same thing. When you claim this psalm as your own, you become more than protected. You become transformed. But it's not just faith. Modern research is starting to uncover something extraordinary, an intersection between ancient scripture and quantum biology. Studies show that words and intentions can influence water molecules, cell structures, and even DNA repair mechanisms. Could it be that reciting Psalm 91 in faith sends literal healing signals into the body? We're only scratching the surface. Next, we'll dive into the emerging science behind spoken prayer and vibrational healing, and how Psalm 91 might be more than a prayer. It might be a blueprint for divine health. The frequency of faith. How Psalm 91 changes reality. Imagine for a moment that everything in the universe is vibration. Not just atoms and molecules, but thoughts, emotions, and even words. This isn't mysticism. It's quantum physics. And now, researchers are beginning to suspect that spoken language, especially language infused with intention, can alter physical matter. That's where Psalm 91 becomes more than poetry. It becomes power. In the early 2000s, Japanese researcher Dr. Masaru Emoto conducted controversial experiments showing how water crystals responded to words. When frozen water was exposed to positive phrases like, "I love you," or prayers, the resulting crystals were beautiful and symmetrical. But when subjected to anger, hate, or chaos, they turned jagged, broken, malformed. Critics mocked him. Yet, similar experiments have since been repeated with compelling results. Now consider this. The human body is more than 70% water. What happens when you speak sacred words like Psalm 91 over yourself daily? Could your very cells be listening? Many think so. Psalm 91, when read aloud, carries a rhythmic cadence. It's not accidental. In Hebrew, the Psalm's original language, each word has numerical values and vibrational resonance. Jewish mystics believe these values unlock hidden energies when spoken with intent. Some call it divine tuning. When recited with deep faith, the psalm acts like a spiritual tuning fork, bringing the body, mind, and soul into alignment. Science calls it neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself in response to thoughts, beliefs, and external stimuli. When you repeatedly affirm divine protection and healing, your brain creates new neural pathways. Your immune system strengthens. Stress hormones like cortisol reduce. Oxytocin and dopamine levels increase. You're not just thinking better. You're literally healing. And it's not just in the head. A study at Harvard Medical School found that people who prayed daily showed reduced cellular aging, measured by the length of telomeres, the protective ends of chromosomes. Longer telomeres are linked to longevity, lower disease rates, and faster recovery. Now imagine coupling that with the power and focus of Psalm 91. Each line of the psalm targets fear, destruction, and hopelessness, three of the most toxic emotional states. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night. It's a direct command against anxiety. Nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness. A declaration of immunity. And then comes the promise, no evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling. This is not wishful thinking, it is spiritual programming. Some believe this aligns with the field of epigenetics, where gene expression can be altered not just by environment or behavior, but by thoughts and emotional states. When the psalm is used as daily affirmation, it may activate the genes responsible for resilience, immune function, and emotional stability. Think of it like this. Psalm 91 is a healing code, ancient yet active. not magical, but magnetic. Its repetition doesn't manipulate God, it awakens you. It reminds you of who you are and to whom you belong. It anchors your soul in certainty when everything else shakes. And that's why it survived for thousands of years. In Tibetan monasteries, monks chant the same lines for hours. In the Middle East, muezzins call out verses of protection over cities. In Christian traditions, Psalm 91 is whispered in sick rooms, screamed in battlefields, and sobbed into pillows during dark nights. And still, its power holds. Because it's not just the words. It's the frequency of faith behind them. Next, we approach the mystical interpretations of this psalm, how ancient texts reveal deeper secrets in each verse, and why some scholars believe Psalm 91 wasn't written just for comfort, but for spiritual warfare and divine reprogramming. Psalm 91. The ancient weapon against darkness. There's a reason Psalm 91 is often found tucked inside soldiers' helmets, sewn into the pockets of nurses, and scribbled on the walls of prison cells. It isn't just comforting, it's terrifying to the darkness. According to ancient texts, Psalm 91 isn't merely a prayer. It's a spiritual weapon, one feared even in realms we cannot see. In early rabbinical teachings, this psalm was categorized under Tehillim Segulet, a term reserved for psalms believed to carry supernatural properties. These were the verses used in exorcisms, spiritual warfare, and divine protection rituals. Psalm 91 was among the most powerful. Why? Because it directly names and confronts invisible threats. Look closely at verse 5, "You shall not be afraid of the terror by night." That phrase in Hebrew, Pakad Layla, was believed to reference nocturnal spirits, entities that prey on the vulnerable during sleep. Verse 6 adds, "Nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday." The ancient belief was that certain demonic forces attacked openly in broad daylight, causing madness, disease, and despair. Psalm 91 doesn't ignore them. It defies them. Kabbalists took it even further. They taught that each verse of Psalm 91 corresponds to a specific angelic defense. In this tradition, speaking the psalm allowed activated messengers of light, assigned to guard, heal, and protect. Verse 11 states it plainly, "For he shall give his angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways." This is not metaphor. In spiritual warfare, it is strategy. In fact, in some exorcism rituals recorded by early Christian monks, the reading of Psalm 91 would cause visible reactions in the possessed. Screaming, thrashing, convulsions. Not because of the words themselves, but because of the authority behind them. This psalm names no human enemy. It doesn't focus on physical attackers. Instead, it targets the unseen afflictions, disease, fear, plagues, and spiritual terror. It acknowledges a world beyond the visible, and offers divine immunity to those who dwell in the secret place of the Most High. But what is that secret place? The Hebrew word used is seder, meaning hiding place, or more literally, a place of secrecy and concealment. Mystics interpret this as the dimension of divine presence, a spiritual reality where God's protection is absolute. Only those who seek Him with their whole being can enter. Once inside, they become untouchable. This isn't just spiritual theory. People throughout history have disappeared from danger while praying this psalm. There are verified stories from wartime where soldiers recited Psalm 91 as bombs fell, and they walked away without a scratch, even as others around them perished. Entire homes have remained untouched by natural disasters, despite total destruction surrounding them. And in each case, residents claimed they were praying Psalm 91. Could it be that this psalm activates a spiritual shield, imperceptible but impenetrable? Even modern-day occultists acknowledge the power of biblical psalms. Some former practitioners confess they avoided Psalm 91 during rituals, claiming it burned or blocked their workings. One ex-Satanist turned Christian said, "When someone read Psalm 91 near me, it was like being hit by pure light. I couldn't breathe." Because evil recognizes power, especially divine power. And this is what makes Psalm 91 so profound. It doesn't just comfort, it commands. It doesn't plead with God for scraps of safety, it declares His protection with authority. When recited with unwavering faith, it's not just a shield, it's a sword. Next, we reach the conclusion. We'll reflect on the spiritual depth of what this psalm truly means for you, the viewer, and how this ancient passage might be the most powerful medicine you've never tried. The final revelation. What Psalm 91 truly offers. Now that we've walked through the power, the mystery, and the unexplainable testimonies surrounding Psalm 91, the question remains, what does this mean for you? You, sitting there, perhaps wounded, anxious, sick, or just spiritually numb, this ancient psalm might not just be poetry from a forgotten world. It might be your invitation to transformation. In a world where people are overwhelmed by chaos, where pandemics spread fear faster than illness, where violence is normalized, and emotional pain is dismissed, Psalm 91 stands as a declaration of rebellion. A holy resistance against despair. A banner of hope raised in a battlefield of doubt. This isn't about religion. It's about reconnection. It's about remembering that you are not alone, not helpless, not doomed. You are invited into the secret place of the Most High, a sanctuary that doesn't exist on any map, but opens when you believe. In that place, healing begins. Peace returns. And yes, the impossible becomes possible. The truth is, we've forgotten how powerful we are when we align with something greater than ourselves. We search for answers in science, in medicine, in data, and all of that matters. But sometimes, healing isn't just physical. It's spiritual. It's emotional. It's rooted in something deeper. And that's why Psalm 91 still echoes across centuries. Because it speaks to the part of us that remembers eternity. So, what is the moral of this story? That maybe, just maybe, the greatest healing doesn't come from the outside, but from the inside out. That the words we speak shape the energy around us. That the vibrations of faith can move mountains, silence fear, and heal bodies. That in a single psalm, written thousands of years ago, there lies a spiritual blueprint for survival, restoration, and protection. Psalm 91 isn't superstition. It's sacred strategy. If you're struggling right now, physically, mentally, spiritually, try this. Take the psalm. Read it out loud. Morning and night. Not once. Not as a test. But as a declaration. Speak it until it becomes part of you. Until your fear begins to fade. Until your body begins to respond. Until your spirit rises. Because if the stories we've shared are true, and thousands more like them exist, then this isn't just a psalm. It's a weapon against darkness, a shield against despair, and a bridge to a healing the world has forgotten. So now, the choice is yours. Will you ignore it? Or will you take hold of this ancient power and step into a life no longer ruled by fear? Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll know whenever we post new content. See you in the next video.